Dawood was responsible for creating credible but fake invoices that allow Mo Dollar's laundromat to move Goldleaf's funds.
I needed to go and investigate prices on tobacco and chemicals and look at past records of Goldleaf tobacco and get that information and create invoices.
Hello, my name is Ricky Doolan and I'm a proud British man. I'm also a businessman, and as any businessman, I represent my interests. I want to say this to you. I love Zimbabwe. It's dear to my heart as a nation and as a people. But I am a British businessman and I don't apologize for being that. However, I'm so disappointed that a good man who is passionate about Zimbabwe is being penalized by imperialist-funded affiliates of Al Jazeera simply for trying hard to help fellow Zimbabweans. Firstly, I want to lay some facts down. Fact: fake news media is rife and it's so active that you can never believe a narrative that mainstream media is pushing, especially one that is state-funded like Al Jazeera. Another fact: the documentary that's circulating right now is brutally edited to portray a false narrative. I'm not a gold dealer, and I never have been, so what they're pushing is a false narrative. Another fact: these fake journalists, business people, they approached me with the now known to be a false proposal, of course, of building a $1.2 billion hotel in Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe, which would have been an outstanding achievement for the nation and its people, whilst it would have also lined up with Ambassador Angel's mandate of increasing the brand of Zimbabwe. They are presenting this documentary like it's a secret investigation, yet it wasn't a secret investigation. I know it, and the other people involved also know this. Yes, they placed cameras in certain angles that made it look like it was without our knowledge, but there was a prior conversation minutes before where we talked about them filming a few minutes of our conversation to tell their bosses and show their bosses this was a legitimate negotiation taking place. So we therefore thought that they'd tell us when, but now we realize that their real intentions were to record the president of Zimbabwe, but that plan failed. When the doubts were confirmed that these fakers might not have been having real intentions, the intelligence blocked them from seeing the president, whom they really wanted to see. That was the person they really wanted to see and film and record, the president. So no wonder Ambassador Angel was left in the middle.
Dawood was responsible for creating credible but fake invoices that allow Mo Dollar's laundromat to move Goldleaf's funds.
I needed to go and investigate prices on tobacco and chemicals and look at past records of Goldleaf tobacco and get that information and create invoices. Olion is a front company for gold, for the tobacco.
Dawood Khan once had a central role in laundering Rutland's dirty cash. He has left the gold mafia and is speaking exclusively to the I-Unit from a safe house.
So it's Simon laundering that money. Money that was not reported through the legitimate streams and needed to be moved.
After an episode of the Gold Mafia, I wanted to look at it in a different angle, the angle of sanction. Who benefited from this sanction? Welcome to another episode of Political Correct. My name is King Mavu, and today I wanted to look at the Gold Mafia episode 2. But before we dive deep into today's topic, please subscribe to my channel, like, comment are also welcome. You can also share the video. My take is sanction brought about corruption in Zimbabwe, and with corruption, people who are not supposed to benefit are going to benefit. Those people are the people from the government only, and the ordinary people who live in Zimbabwe are not benefiting from the riches of Zimbabwe. So corruption skyrocketed then. But why can't we stop with the sanction? Because it is something that is brought about corruption in the gold wealth of Zimbabwe. You might be wondering why I'm not looking at it in the corrupt level of the whole document itself. I'm not looking at it in that way because I think it has been long overdue for sanction to be dropped. And why they are not dropped? Because if sanction were introduced because of Robert Mugabe and what he was doing then, Robert Mugabe have been dead for a long time now, and sanction in Zimbabwe are still continuing. And Robert Mugabe was doing good thing for his people. He was trying to give them the land that was stolen from them, and by that he took it by force because the British were not willing to pay for the land which they promised they will do in the conference that they held with during the negotiation of the end of oppression in Zimbabwe. So now that Tony Blair refused to pay for the compensation because he said that he was not involved in those negotiations. So why must he pay? His country pay for things that they didn't agree. His government didn't agree into. But I think by saying that, Tony Blair was missing the bigger point of the operation in Zimbabwe. White people in Zimbabwe were still benefiting from those crimes that were done to them long time ago, and the British government in that time, they felt that yes, we should pay for white people to release the land back to the original people of Zimbabwe. But when Tony Blair came into power, he refused to honor that promise. So Mugabe took the land by force. And when he took the land by force, sanctions were implemented in Zimbabwe. And with those sanctions, poverty struck Zimbabwe and people started to run away from the country and go to live in other countries. But now Mugabe has been dead for a long time. Those sanctions are still in place. Why can't they leave the sanction and see if this corruption can be eradicated? It's a shame that it have come to that they will resolve to corruption to sell their minerals. And the minerals are a lot in Zimbabwe. The gold is too much. As you can see in the document, the people in Zimbabwe don't need a lot of machines like other countries to dig deep underground to get those minerals. They just there in the surface of the ground, and they're coming out with gold. Now, why not lift those sanctions? Who's benefiting from those sanctions? It is simple to say Zimbabwe is corrupt because what you think is corrupt activities that the people in power are doing. But why not say white people of Zimbabwe are the one who are corrupt because they're corrupting government officials to sell those minerals to them so they can support their corrupt activity? Because if you look at people who are buying mineral in Zimbabwe through corrupt activities, they are not black people. It's white people who are buying those mineral. So white people are sponsoring that corruption. Because if they stop, they say, we will buy those mineral when things go back normal, into normal order. That's when we'll go back and buy those mineral. Because if you also look at how people or white media try to portray Africans, they like to portray them as criminal individuals. And by doing that, they overlook who is the corruptee. It also happened here in South Africa when Shabir Sheikh was corrupting Zuma. Good thing for Zuma that he didn't go to jail and Shabir Sheikh ended up going to prison. But the corruptee is the people who should be arrested because they are supporting those corrupt activities that tend to make the ordinary people not benefiting from the wealth of the land. And by not benefiting from the wealth of the land, people suffer. And when it was not supposed to be like that, because the regime of Zimbabwe can support its people, but it's end up supporting people who don't live there. People who live in other countries are benefiting when the ordinary people are the ones that are suffering. Government officials are the ones that are benefiting from those money that are given by the corruptee. So why not lift those sanctions in Zimbabwe and let Zimbabwe play in the level field instead of just saying no, Zimbabwe should be placed in sanction until we see that they have reformed. How can they reformed when people are not being paid for their own land by the people who stole from that land, which those people are white people. White people stole the land from Zimbabwe, and the Zimbabwean didn't have land, and Mugabe took the land by force, which is he was right because he wanted to give his land back to his people. Now, Al Jazeera is coming with their narrative that Zimbabwe is corrupt, whereas people of government official of Zimbabwe are just trying to survive. And the survival depend on those money that they are being given by those corrupt white people that want to steal from Zimbabwe, because at the end of the day those white people are stealing from Zimbabwe. Why not lift those sanctions and see what will happen in Zimbabwe when they're playing in a level field? They're they're trading their wealth like everyone else. They can invite investors to sell those mineral, and then the majority of Zimbabwe will benefit, not just selected individual who will enrich themselves. It is strange that the media is trying to portray Zimbabwe as corrupt country. Yes, they're just trying to survive, people of Zimbabwe and the government official, but they are trying to survive in the expenses of the ordinary people, those people who don't have the means to steal and rob their country. Why not lift the sanction? Because all these corrupt activities happen when Zimbabwe were put into sanction. And those sanctions cause people of Zimbabwe to find ways to survive. And those ways to survive happen to be through corrupt activities. This is King on another episode of Politically Correct with King and Z. Unfortunately, today, Z is not with us. I just wanted to put my 2 cents thoughts on the Gold Mafia documentary by Al Jazeera. Remember, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can also like the video and share. Comment are also welcome. See you next time.